Mount Tumbledown, 13 and 14th June 1982. Captain Robert Lawrence, 2nd Battalion, Scots Guards. We were advancing slowly under intense fire. The Argentinians were well prepared and seemed to know each one of our movements. The night was freezing and the rocky ground made the advance difficult. At one point, while trying to protect my men, I felt an impact to the head. I thought it was the end, but I survived. I lost half my skull at that moment, but I did not notice immediately. I only wanted to stay standing so the others would keep advancing. Robert Lawrence was decorated for his courage, but his wounds left physical sequelae for life. Private Jim Wallace. I remember the hand-to-hand fights as the most terrifying of the war. When we reached the Argentine trenches, it was hell. We faced them face to face. It was kill or be killed. I remember the expression in the eyes of a young Argentine who tried to stab me. He was just a boy. After shooting him, I was frozen for a moment. I can't forget that look. 2nd Lieutenant Ricardo Cordoba, Argentine 5th Infantry Regiment. We knew it was a strategic position and prepared to resist to the end. British artillery never stopped. The ground was constantly shaking. At one point, we even fought hand to hand. Everything was chaos. You saw comrades falling and there was no time to think. Some fought with bayonets, others with whatever they had at hand. It was terrifying. I had to kill Scots to survive. Argentine Naval Captain Carlos Daniel Vasquez. An extraordinary soldier whose deeds were deliberately concealed. My section was about 200 meters long by 50 meters wide. Around 22 Fomor on 13th June 1982, a fierce artillery attack began on my position. British howitzer batteries were firing, supported by a warship providing direct fire support. Armored vehicles Blues and Royals were firing from the base of the mountain. The fire was extremely intense. We had good trenches, but we couldn't even raise our heads. What we did not know was that during the bombardment, a Scottish company had begun its approach at about 60 or 70 meters from our position. The bombardment lasted approximately 1 hour. At that moment, I received the information, shouted from trench to trench, that one of my soldiers was wounded. I left my rifle in the trench and ran out with grenades on my combat vest and a Browning pistol. As I ran through the bombardment, I saw the white and black flashes of the explosions. About 100 meters from my position, I saw an Argentine soldier wounded in the stomach and staggering while the world exploded around him. When I arrived, I threw him to the ground and dragged him to the first trench where another soldier was. Everything was dark. I used the other soldier's first aid kit to dress the abdominal wound. At that moment, I noticed the British artillery had stopped, and I heard shots near my trench. It was a Sterling machine gun used by the Scots. I observed 2 Scottish soldiers searching the trenches and firing their weapons. I took an M67 grenade, removed the 2 pins, cocked the Browning pistol I had loaded, and ran to my trench, which was about 100 meters to the right. I saw several enemy soldiers walking and searching trench by trench. It was total chaos. The men of my section began to fire. The enemies did not see me, and at that moment a flare lit the dark sky as if it were daytime. I threw myself to the ground, pretending to be dead, with the grenade in one hand and the pistol in the other. I felt so afraid that I began to pray the Lord's Prayer. Suddenly the flare went out. I got up and ran to my trench. I remember it was snowing. In the trench, there was a radio operator and another wounded soldier who passed me ammunition every time I got up to fire. Then the fight began between my men in the trenches and the Scots, who were about 10 or 15 meters behind the rocks. We were 37 men against the left flank company commanded by Major Kisley, together with the 1st Battalion of the 7th Gurkha Regiment. My men were firing 360 degrees with trenches separated every 10 meters. Shells, hand grenades, anti-tank grenades, and Milan missiles flew everywhere. It was a true hell. We threw our grenades at very short distances. The Scots' bayonet assault began at 23:10 on 13th of June and continued until 02:30 on 14th of June. At 01:00, I realized that their numerical superiority was overwhelming and that we would all die there. There was no way to hold the position.